Hey everybody, this is Thomas Mestas with the M Real Estate Group, and I'm going to be talking to you about how do I get into real estate 101, part one. This is going to be real estate investing. All right. So wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you can get involved in real estate, but also how you can, what's the process of doing all the things and getting into investing side of it. So you definitely got to crawl before you walk, and you got to walk before you run. So those are kind of the things that we're going to talk about today. So what do I do first? Where do I start? Um, I want you to become a sponge. Yep, I want you to become a sponge, soak up as much knowledge as you possibly can. And how are you going to do that? So, when I started in the real estate business, I started 21 years ago. And one of the things that I did is I didn't know where to start. And there was no mentor programs. Back then, there was no YouTube. Google had just started, so there was really no information at all. So what I did is I actually opened up the phone book and I started calling mortgage professionals and anybody that I could get in, to sit down with me to buy them lunch and then ask them questions. So that's what I did. But today it's so much more easy to get involved in the real estate business. And so we're going to talk about that. So where to start? Right now, this is a super easy one. It's time to get social. You got to get out. You got to go talk to people. You've got to get all there, and you got to get out in front of people. So how do you do that? So right now, I would suggest that the easiest place to do that is search in Facebook for your local real estate investor groups. This is a great place to start. Start finding out if there's any kind of meetups. Search for a plan on attending any real estate meetups in your area. These are very, very important to do. Okay. So it's it's super easy to do that, but it's hard to actually make the commitment to do that. So at a meetup, stay focused and find what you want to do is you want to identify one or two players in that market. And once you do that, you want to make sure that you set up a time or a place to meet for coffee or lunch, and you want to start building rapport. You want to build relationships, and this is so important because relationships are what's going to keep you in this business, and it's also going to be able to for you to kind of lead to the next thing where you can actually find a real estate mentor. And that's so important in this business, is to find somebody that's doing the business, that's doing the things that are necessary. And so when you find somebody that's playing the game of real estate, finding them and asking them if they want to be a mentor, that's a process because it does take some time. I'm asked many times, hey, can I follow along? Can I do these things? And it's kind of hard to always make the commitment to show people. I'm more than happy to show people the ropes. The problem is actually taking the time and walking people through that process. Now, I've been in the business, like I said, for 21 years. I own a fairly large brokerage here in the city. So I have a team of brokers that I can actually talk to, and I mentor in that respect. But actually taking somebody by the hand and helping you through the process, that's a little bit more. I get phone calls all the time. People are always calling me. Old brokers are calling me. Brokers that have started their own companies are calling me to get information. And again, I'm more than happy to give as much information as possible. We definitely want to see you guys succeed for sure. So from that point, if you want to find a real estate mentor from that coffee or lunch meeting, you got to just ask and say, hey, I would like to mentor. I'm not sure if there's a fee involved in this. Most of them will probably say, hey, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I'll kind of teach you the ropes. But because once you start paying somebody, now they're obligated to help you. So that might be something that you're interested in doing. But that's going to be the next phase, is hiring a coach or getting part of a group mastermind. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So the reason it's so important to have a mentor is to answer all those important questions that come up, because there's going to be so many things that are going to come up and through the process of buying real estate. And it's good to have somebody that's already navigated. In fact, to this day, 21 years later, I still have a lot of mentors that I call, because we're actually right now in the process of going through a deal. We were going to do a sub two. The property was inherited by the son. The son is now in hospice. Doesn't look like he's going to make it. His son is now taking over. They're in New York. We're in New Mexico. And so there's a whole process of this. So we're going through chain of title. We're trying to make sure. And through this process today, in fact, we learned that the son had actually deeded it to a different LLC, but the LLC is no longer in business. So we're probably going to get it deeded back so that we can go ahead and do the whole scenario. But the added stress on this one is it's up for auction on the 9th. So the 9th of January. So just a few weeks away, less than a few weeks away is the auction date. So we've actually called to see if they'll actually postpone the auction and give us time to be able to close. With that process, we had to send in documents that we had proof of funds, all these other things. So there's a whole process involved in this, and you come up with every real estate deal is a little bit different. So it's good to have somebody that's kind of gone through the process, and a mentor that's actually in the real estate business doing deals is so important to your success and future success. So, but when it's time to take it to the next level, you need to invest into your success. And when it comes to that point, I really strongly suggest, and you do this fairly soon in your real estate journey, is join a real estate mastermind if you can find one. Now, I belong to a real estate mastermind. It's called the Boardroom Mastermind, real estate professionals from all over the country. But they get a little pricey. It gets a little expensive. But again, you have to determine what's the difference between an expense and an investment. And anytime that you're bringing knowledge to yourself or putting yourself in that situation, if you're taking zero action, it's an expense. But if you're taking massive action from the information you learned, then that's definitely an investment. So that's definitely something to do. So now ask yourself this: how much do I want this? During your first 90 days in this business, you're going to question a lot of things that are going on, but you need to really ask yourself, how much do I want to be successful in this new venture of real estate? So what do you want to do to succeed? And if the answer is yes, I want this, then you definitely, it's time to start investing some money. So, all right, so we've gotten through that process. You want to get a mentor, you want to move into maybe a mastermind. All those are good things, but you're saying, hey, Tom, I want to start making some money. I'm getting excited. I'm walking into deals. People are saying this. I'm finding stuff on the MLS. Realtors are calling me, whatever it is. Don't do anything yet. Because when you don't know, the things that you don't know can hurt you in this business, and it can sink you very quickly. And one of the things that I've seen is I get a lot of phone calls from people that say, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I'm investing. I always ask the question, how many deals have you done? And usually it comes out to no. And some people jump into the deal right off the bat because I think they pay for these one day or these weekend seminars. And those people make it sound so easy, and it's not. I mean, it's not hard to get into a deal, but it's hard to get out of the deal. And where you make money in real estate is at the acquisition point. So if you're buying a bad deal from the very beginning, you're already setting yourself up for failure, and you don't want to do that in the real estate business. Okay. So, one of the greatest things that you can do is you can get into wholesaling. That doesn't take a lot of money, and wholesaling leads into flipping. So me personally, I don't do any wholesaling, but I do buy from wholesalers. And I do buy from wholesalers to flip because I actually love the process of flipping a home. I love seeing something that's just ugly, hideous, falling down, falling apart, and then making it beautiful. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, and I think that's the part that's great. But if you're just solely into wanting to make money, wholesaling is a great opportunity. We can get into that a little bit later, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about flipping in future segments because that's the business that I'm in. Okay, so identifying a possible flip. You got to go out and start looking at it. You got to go start kicking tires. You got to go do these things before you make any moves, before you spend any money, before you make any investment into the real estate business. You've got to identify and you've got to get comfortable doing this. And one of the best ways to do that is to start running some mock scenarios. So mock scenarios, remember, a bad deal can kill your business before you even get started. So you're like, hey, I want to do this, but you've actually put yourself into a situation where you have either debt or you bought the wrong place, or any of these things could happen. And nothing's more disheartening, I guess, or is when you find out that you have some major problems and you didn't figure into the deal. So now you're actually out more money and more money and more money, and you may or may not get it back. So don't buy anything right now. Like, that's the process, is let's get familiar. Let's go through that. Okay. How do you gain knowledge? I think it's super important to have a basic understanding of construction knowledge in this business. And you're like, hey, Tom, I don't know anything about construction. Well, now's the time that you need to learn. So before you go buy your first deal, if you're in the flipping business, the real estate business, you're going to have to learn some basic stuff on construction. What's a good way to do this? Because In this business, knowledge is power, and it can potentially save you from catastrophic mistakes. Okay. So, what's the one good way to start learning in this business? And one of the things that I first did early on is when I went and got a home, I ordered a home inspection with a home inspection company. I bought a pair of overalls, coveralls, and I would actually follow them around. I'd crawl in the crawl spaces, I'd go on the roof, I'd look for things, and they would teach me this process. And one of the cool things about it, because I was already in the real estate business, they were willing to do that because, well, they wanted future business. And that's one of the things that you could do. You could call around in your local marketplace, call some home inspectors, again, take them out for coffee, out for lunch, build relationships with these people, tell them what you want to do, because ultimately when you are successful, you will be utilizing their services. So right now they might make the investment in you, knowing that you're going to pay in future dividends to them. Okay. So it's very important that you build those relationships today. But go out, talk to some home inspectors, go out and just start dialing for dollars, man, saying, hey, I'm brand new to real estate, I'd like to follow you around, is that something we could do? I'd like to be your apprentice, I'd like to go and get ladders, do all the things that I have to do at no cost to you. You don't have to pay me. I'm willing to do this for the exchange of knowledge, because education will cost you. It's either going to be time or money, but it's going to be something. And if you don't have the education moving into your first flipping deal or anything else, it could be very, very expensive, and you don't want to do that. Okay. So, let's see here. The great thing about construction knowledge is you invest to learn in the pitfalls to avoid any future issues. Remember, setting a solid foundation in your business is so key to building a successful real estate empire. Okay. And like, it's not fun. It's kind of boring at first because you're not doing anything. You're just learning. But let me tell you one thing. When you build a house, if any of you have seen the process of a house being built, the most exciting part of the house process is once they start putting all the finish work on, right? The kitchen, the colors, the paint, the tile, all that stuff is amazing. But the most important step in this is actually when they're building the foundation, when they're digging out the dirt and they're setting the rebar and they're pouring the concrete. That is the most important part. So in your business, that's exactly what you guys need to focus on, is learning the fundamentals so that you're building a solid foundation for when you start buying these houses, that you actually have working knowledge of these things, and it's not going to cost you a bunch of money, especially if you're starting work with other people's money, investors' money, or friends and family. You want to make sure that you know what you're doing, because you don't want to go to those awkward dinners or lunches and find out that you lost their money for them. So that's not good. You got to grow mentally and emotionally in this business, because there's going to be some shit that happens to you. I swear bad things are going to happen. I'm just telling you now. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not. You're going to have problems that come up. You're going to get hit with an inspector and they're going to shut your project down. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen. So you definitely want to grow mentally and emotionally in this business to be successful. Let's see here. I think I've covered a bunch of these things here, and we can dive deep into all these things. And there's something that you can do. You can DM me if you want to find out more. I'd be more than happy to share some information, specific questions if you have that. Okay. But definitely got to invest in yourself. Knowledge is so powerful. I'm going to tell you that right now. So you will know when it's time to buy your first deal. When you feel confident, you will know when it's time to buy it. So with that said, you can reach me, Thomas Mestas, the M Real Estate Group. You can check us out on the web at www.themrealestategroup.com. You can email me directly at thomas@mregrp.com, or simply give me a call, 505-819-5838, or DM me on social. Find me on Instagram at Thomas_Mestas. You can find me on Facebook and everywhere else. So I hope this information was helpful. I'm excited for you, like looking into your real estate career. It's been the best thing for me and my family. 21 years ago, I was just where you guys were, scared, didn't know where to start. But you know what? You got to start starting. So start starting. This is one of the processes, is you got to start somewhere. You might as well start here. So continued success to you guys. Excited for your future. Share the comments below of any of the things that are going on in your career, and hopefully, if this information was valuable, subscribe. We're going to be adding some cool content to this page, and we look forward to hearing from you. So, have a great one. We'll see you guys.